Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Susan Conlon. I'm the festival director, and thank you for joining us this afternoon and here in Eastern Standard Time for a talk with Dani Menkin. He's the co-director of the film that we shared with you, Picture of His Life. So Dani will be here in just a moment, and I just want to mention a couple of things first. So we will keep putting comments in the chat for now. It will be disabled in a few minutes. It will come back at the end for you to put any closing remarks in there. We will have the ask a question function on the entire time. So please ask questions or make comments there as well. We will field those questions to share with Dani. And I guess that's about it for now. So let me tell you a little bit about him, and then he'll be out to join us. So we're very pleased to have Dani Menkin, as the film's co-director, to have him here with us today. And we're very happy we had the opportunity to share a picture of his life with you. Dani Menkin is a twice Israeli Academy Award-winning filmmaker for films 39 Pounds of Love and Is That You? 39 Pounds of Love was acquired by HBO and shortlisted for the Oscar Awards. We had a memorable screening of another film he co-directed, Dolphin Boy, here at the PEFF in 2012. Menkin is known for exploring the courage of human life through personal stories and connecting the extraordinary heroes of his films to a larger context and their impact on the world. Dani is a speaker and panelist at film festivals around the world, as well as a juror and film professor in American and Israeli universities and colleges, and he co-founded Hey Jude Productions. Dani currently lives with his family in Los Angeles. So he'll be on the screen in a moment, and please say hello to Dani. Oh, there you are.
Hello. Nice meeting you. Nice seeing you.
Nice to see you. Hello in Los Angeles, and greetings from New Jersey.
All right. Yes.
So, Dani, please share. I'd love to have a lot of questions I want to ask you about the film, but I think a good starting point was, what was your starting point? How did you already know Amos, or how did you connect with him and his story, and how did you decide you wanted to make a film about him?
So my connection with me and Amos and the story was after I finished a film called 39 Pounds of Love that was on HBO, and it won the Israeli Academy Award and was shortlisted for the Oscars in the US. And I was kind of known to be doing a lot of road trip films, which I still like to do. I love road trip. I love nature. And I was pitched by a studio about the story of Amos. And that's how I met with one of his students, I will call, Jonathan, that Amos was kind of his mentor. And Jonathan and I tried to work together on making this film happen. It took a long time because it was a big undertaking. It was we needed a lot of money in order to make it happen. So at some point, we just put it on hold and we said, "Oh, don't we have an easier movie that happens in Israel? It's not in the Arctic. Taking a picture of a polar bear underwater." And Jonathan said, "Actually, we do. Here's Dolphin Boy." And we went to Eilat, which is in the south tip of Israel. You guys have shown the movie in 2012, and it won a lot of awards. And that was another story about the relationship between a father and a son, and about post-trauma and the healing power of nature. So when we finished Dolphin Boy, we were like, "Oh, what's the next challenge?" And we said, it's Amos. We have to come back to Amos. We have to make, we called it then Amos. That's how we called the project. And now it's known as Picture of His Life. But Jonathan and I, it felt like it has same layers as Dolphin Boy. And we really wanted to show how somebody transformed from being a soldier in the Israeli army to becoming a soldier for Mother Nature.
I like that idea about the layers, and I can see that comparing the two films. And one of the things that was so present in this film all the way through were the layers of the emotional, like internal, interior, part of a person. And, that's hard to get to, especially, in telling a film that's just a little over an hour. But, I thought that was such an interesting approach to this. And I can see that comparison with Dolphin Boy. And I think it's interesting too, because this is a film about challenges and about risk. And, for Amos, this, he appears, at least he appeared to me as a risk taker. So, what was your experience with him, and how did you perceive him?
I mean, I personally thought that Amos is a fascinating person because he's taking his challenges all the way. He's not stopping halfway. He's going, with his life mission and to the maximum that you can ever imagine. And he sacrificed a lot of things. He doesn't have a family and he doesn't have kids. He just, dedicates his life to his mission. And we wanted to know what's the story behind that person. So when we went and shot the film, we were interested in his relationship with his father. We were interested in what really happened in the war, in the army. There was a terrible war in Israel in 1973, and a lot of people are still recovering from that and suffering from trauma. The country is suffering from trauma from that terrible war. And we wanted to know why Amos want so much to shoot the polar bear on the water. What is the story with the polar bear? What is the polar bear symbol? What is it? What is the metaphor? And is it the father? Is it the war? Is it Mother Nature? All of the above? So we wanted to find ourselves, and we wanted just to keep it out there and let the audience judge while we're going with him through this almost, I would say, impossible journey.
Yeah, I thought I love the title of the film, Picture of His Life. And I think, when we first received the film and my idea of what that meant changed after I watched it. And I think it's changed like a couple of times, and I keep seeing different ideas for what the title could be about. I mean, at one point, I suppose he's driven, and he's an accomplished underwater photographer. And I guess there's always that feeling about, reaching the pinnacle. When am I going to get, to the point where I'm really recognized for like one thing, one part of his life. And, and if you go on to, we've shared a link to his website. We'll share it again, but his work, and you can see it in the film, is just completely stunning and incredible. So it's like, what is this idea of getting the picture of his life? And then, I also think, was he, at some point I'm thinking, is it about the polar bear? Is it the picture of his life? So, I mean, I just feel, again, with the layers, that there were so many different meanings to that, and that feeling of, his striving to achieve some things. And that, again, brought me back to the relationship with his father and about proving something, and to whom. So I thought that was interesting. So if you can tell us a little bit more about, your ideas about the title of the film.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned before, for Jonathan and I, this was kind of like a continuation of what we have started with Dolphin Boy. That was also a story of recovering from severe post-trauma, and with the help of nature and a love relationship between the father and the son. Here, I cannot say it was a love relationship between the father and the son, but it was kind of like a combat between generations. And Amos represented a new generation in one way, but on the other hand, is still in his approach to wildlife photography. He's an old school, he's still going out there face to face without protection, with the camera, taking pictures. So it was always an enigma for us, and that's why we were like going through this journey not knowing what will happen. I mean, this is the magic and the curse of a documentary. Oh my gosh, we don't know what's going to happen. We're investing this time, energy, and money. What's going to happen? On the other hand, it's exciting. Oh yeah, we don't know what's going to happen. Let's go and let's see.
Well, you presented so effectively. We felt like we were like just secretly watching the film, but then there were points in the film where I had to remind myself, oh, but that was because you were there. You were on a different boat. You were getting this. There was another underwater photographer, videographer getting the film. So it was this whole another layer that. But it did feel like we were watching something while it was happening, and the whole segment, which I wrote with a big letters wow when I was making my notes, the part of the film where he has that really close call with the aggressive bear, that was scary. Really.
Yeah, and he had another even more scary part which we were not there 10 years before, that the polar bear really was chasing after him. Here's the polar bear was just getting too close to the camera, and Adam Ravitch, he was the cinematographer that was with him. They were not, it was not as frightening as it was 10 years ago, but for us as audience and as participant, it was kind of a deja vu. Oh my gosh, does it happen again? And because the idea for us was that he will be swimming in harmony with the biggest predators on Earth. So that was kind of part of what we were going through. So Jonathan and I were on the boat. Adam and Amos were underwater, and it was quite terrifying. And we tried to show in the movie what we had to face, while making this film.
So in terms of what was the challenge for you as a filmmaker to make a film to represent the life of somebody visually on film, in photographs, of somebody who was, as whose own images, that's his life, that's his world. So, that's, any pressure there?
You mean we're taking you were taking questions from the chat?
No. What I'm saying is, as a working in a visual medium like film, while you're making a film about a photographer, like what was that?
Yeah, so
that must
we want to respect his art, and we wanted to show it as much as we can. That's why we decided pretty early in the process of the editing that we're not going to show people on camera. We're just going to show his visuals, while people are talking about him and his work. That was part of the idea behind making the film. And we knew that there are two aspects to the story. One, him trying to take the picture of his life. And the second one is we trying to make our movie, which we call Picture of His Life, which is telling the story about the men behind the image.
Right. There's, I liked how you went back and forth and used the archival film and the photographs to tell his life story all the way through the film, even to the end. And I thought it was really interesting that, he was a little bit like a man of mystery. Like he kind of disappeared for a while, and it was like, oh, he's driving a cab in New York City. And then the next thing you know, he's, a world famous photographer. And it's like, what happened in those years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there were still some holes that we were very interested about what happened. We didn't know what was going on, especially after the war. And you know what? It's pretty common for people that suffer from such a severe trauma in the war, in such a terrible war that Israel faced. that they are just disappearing, and they're trying to find their new self. They're trying to change in some ways their identity. You could see it very much in Dolphin Boy also. That was a totally change of an identity. But with Amos, he decided to take it to the positive and to replace the lenses of the gun with those of the camera, and become, instead of the soldier for the Israeli army, a soldier for Mother Nature. And he wanted to show that, our planet Earth is suffering now, and planet Earth needs good soldiers. People don't realize it. Some people deny it, unfortunately, but it happens. It's in front of our eyes, and you don't even need science to see it. It's there. So Amos is trying to evoke and to make people aware of what is going on. And he wants to show that we and the polar bear, which in some ways symbolize the environment, we can and we should live in respect and harmony. And that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to respect them. That was his one most important mission. And we finished also the film with the Leonard Cohen song, and which says, there is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. And I think right now, we're facing terrible time where we need to be in social distancing. We're facing pandemic. Energy is very heavy. You see it all over with the news, with politics. I mean, it's horrible. So for us to finish with the line, there is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. And hopefully it gives some hope to people. And that's what we try to do, among other things that we try to achieve with this film.
Well, and his quest to get this picture, and then your film, and bringing this story and these images out to people, certainly, I mean, otherwise, we're so far away. And I thought you demonstrated that beautifully in the film when he took the plane and he was traveling, and it just like the miles and miles and miles kept going higher on his journey. So I think that, that's an achievement too. I mean, otherwise, we can pretend it's not happening. We don't have to see it. I think you had some really incredible statistics in the film, talking about, and showing visually how the polar bears are really struggling to eat, which also would increase the likelihood that they would be attacking humans. But by 2050, 2/3 of the population will be gone, or their population will be gone. And people don't want to hear that, and they don't want to see it. But, when they do, I think that's where you can begin to think there's some hope that maybe, maybe we can do something. Maybe we can turn it around. I don't know. I don't like to think about that. It's too late, but
we may be able to turn it around, but the one thing that we can start is by having us and the crowd being aware of it, and our leaders not denying it,
right.
Which is, I think, it's almost the worst,
Yeah, I agree. So I want to encourage people who are here to ask a question. You can click on the bottom bar where it says "Ask a Question." You can pose a question or a comment, and let's talk about some other things. One of the things, and this has come up when we've discussed some of our other films. So we had 20 films this year, and this sense of, we're bringing these stories that we have. We have people who are, what do they have in common? The individuals that we're seeing in the films, and one of them is they're people who have a passion, people who were watching the films, how they're doing something. I love how Amos talked about learning, how learning is, you have to learn. And these are films that we have stories about people who make things, and people who are present, who are doing things. people who show up. We had one excellent film where somebody said, well, one of the first steps if you want to change anything, you have to show up. And I thought this film was an excellent example of that, of somebody who, just passion for life, a passion for his work, and then a passion for sharing a vision. So, you can tell us a little bit more about him and that aspect.
Yeah, when you talk about the passion, maybe that was the key word here. We were all passionate about a goal that looked at some point as impassable. We didn't know that we're gonna go all the way to the Arctic. We took 6 connection flights. We went all over till the end of the world, and then we took another private plane with this pilot that, if you saw this guy, I don't think you're gonna go on an Uber with him. And it was hell of conditions and weather and everything, and we reached out not knowing that we're going to see any polar bears. Yeah. And we had very limited time and very limited money to do that, but we were, like you said, we were really passionate, and we said at the end of the day we will say that we showed up. We have to show up. I believe 90% of success is showing up, and being there. And that's what is probably common for filmmakers and wildlife photographers. They're going out there not knowing what will be the outcome, but they have this passion and they want to be doing it. So, I'm very fortunate to, I don't know if I can say that I chose this path or this path chose me, but I feel very fortunate that I'm a filmmaker that is trying the best as I can to show up and make these kind of films. And together with Jonathan, we we did not know that this will be successful and this will win so many awards. And we will be featured at so many places like Hollywood Reporter and CNN and the Chronicle, and we will impact so many people. So for us, it was wonderful, and we want our movies to be seen. We want our message to be out there, and it all comes from passion, and that's how we could do that with Amos, because Amos has the same thing. He has the passion and he sacrificed everything to make it happen.
So when we get films for the film festival, when we find them, we a lot of them are new. They haven't been out there. We're not getting other people's reviews or judgments on them. So I think in our group, I was the first one to watch this film, and I was just like emailing everybody else saying, "You have to watch this. We have to show this film." It was just like immediate that I recognize that it's special. My choice in films tends to be, I lean towards films that tell stories, have personal narrative, that kind of get inside the person, that maybe are off the beaten track. We can't have 20 films and have them all be like strong, like advocacy point of view films. We need the stories. And I think that a lot of people agree that people connect more through life stories than anything else. But that's what leaves an impact. That's what leaves an impression. So, I hope that, your film continues and continue in film festivals, but also, and now it's a wonderful time to have things broadcast because that's basically how people are watching films. So tell us a little bit more about your work and what projects that you have in development.
So what I'm doing mainly now is I'm writing screenplays, and some of them are also based on my documentaries like Dolphin Boy, like On the Map. And my new film that came out is the story of Olsi. He's a basketball player from New Jersey that is African-American, came to Israel, became part of the country, became Jewish, and there was a wonderful love story there, and it's kind of like a roller coaster story. Whoever wants to see And you can see the banner in the middle right here. Oops, here. Oh, HeyJudeProductions.com. You can go to our website and you can watch the trailer. And if anyone wants to help support us for making films from our heart, we are also non for profit. You can do that as well. And you can send us a note and we can share with you more of our stories. If you like Picture of His Life, I'm sure you're going to like Dolphin Boy. It's another film I made with Jonathan. And I'm about to shoot another narrative film. So for me, I mean, it's a joy to cross from the documentary to the narrative because a lot of times you cannot invent those stories. If you see Picture of His Life, if it didn't happen, that Amos will be swimming with a polar bear and going through the life journey, people would have said, "Oh my God, that's unbelievable." Same for Dolphin Boy, same for On the Map or All See or 39 Pounds of Love, which I've done and with HBO in the last decade. So I'm enjoying every movie is a big project. It's a lot of time and energy and money, and it's kind of like every movie you start from the beginning, and it's like a startup. But you mentioned what we have in common with Amos, and that's passion, and we want to bring good, positive stories to the world. The reason our website is HeyJudeProductions.com. It's because I love the line of the Beatles at the song "Hey Jude," which means take a sad song and make it better. Yeah, and that's kind of the theme of our film.
That's wonderful. So I want to encourage people to ask a question, make a comment. You just click on the Ask a Question line there on the bottom of the screen. Janie, I'm going to ask you to enable the chat again so we can also share some of the links and people can also share a thought there as well or look back through the links. I have a couple other things I wanted to ask you about. So how did Amos react to the film?
He saw it at the opening night that we had in an international festival in Tel Aviv called Doc Aviv, and he was very moved, especially because if you remember the scene in the movie where his father actually acknowledges him and he's in the hospital on his deathbed, and Amos was very moved because he saw it for the first time in the movie, and that was a really big moment. So I think he was very fascinated because it's the way we saw Amos. I mean, if Amos himself would have done the movie, it would probably be a different kind of movie. But he was very respectful for us as creators, and he said to us always, "You guys are doing your movie. I'm telling my story with the pictures, but you're telling my story with the film." And and that's how, for the first time when he saw it, he was like, I think he was like blown away. He was very, very moved.
I think that was what I was trying to get at before when I asked you the question about, what was the pressure on you, to tell the story and to, as a visual artist, telling a story about another visual artist. That must have been very, very challenging, but it sounds like you had the mutual respect, which, at some point, you don't work on every single aspect of your film. That's why you have an editor, you have producers, and you have to trust your collaborators. So it's a collaboration.
You have to. There is a line saying that you need a pen to write a book, but you need an army to make a movie. So right. It's a collaborative effort, and the good thing is that Amos knew that we are telling our point of view of his life,
right?
And our point of view was wanting to know more about some of the mystery that he had to go through, the hardship that he had to go through. Actually, things that he didn't want to talk about. Yeah. I mean, at the beginning of the movie, he hardly speaks because for years we followed him and he didn't talk about his father. He didn't talk about the army. He didn't want to talk about it. But when we went to the Arctic, he opened up. And we also showed it in the film, how slowly the character is opening up and sharing more and more. And at some point, he really was, as you could see in the movie, he was very, very moved. I think also what helped is the fact that Adam Ravitch was there. They're very close. The cinematographer is an Emmy Award cinematographer, wildlife cinematographer, and also the Inuits that were there. You know, we could trust them. They knew what they were doing. I will say Joe Kalujak is kind of like a, from lack of a better word, he's like a whisper for birds. Birds, you know, we didn't know how we find them, and he was like always looking with the binoculars to see where they are. So it was a very safe environment that allowed us to get more into the character of who Amos really is, which was our goal, to discover, you know, what is his story.
Right. And I think that you revealed some things about him, or he let certain things out, but it also felt he maintained a lot of his privacy. But all in all, you respected that, and that, I think that really came through. I see we have a question. Let me pop this open, see what we have. So, so this is, I noticed on Twitter today quite a bit of buzz about Alci, your new film that is just out now, and about Alci Perry, the New Jersey native who brought basketball glory to Israel. So you spoke a little bit about it, but if there's anything else you can mention, I don't know if the person who wrote the question.
Yeah, it's a big buzz for Alci, because it's like kind of a continuation for a film that I have made called On the Map. Which again, you can all see a trailer on our website on heyjudeproductions.com. And On the Map was telling the story of the basketball team in Israel in 1977, Maccabi Tel Aviv, beating the Russians during the Cold War when the Russians don't want to play against Israel. And Alci Perry is the African-American guy in the team. And I'm telling his life story. And I think it's a special, you know, story in a special time when we can also tap into the relationship between African American and our community. So I'm encouraging people to watch this as well. And as you said, you know, when you tap into personal stories, you can, you know, really in a documentary find a lot. And those are the films that I feel people want to see more and more. And it's a good time for documentaries. It's a good time for indie movies. So you know, I'm happy to share.
Yeah,
more.
Here. We have a question here from Doug B, who has two questions actually. How was your experience with Inuit people and the part you mentioned in the film about their loss of livelihood given climate change? Also, was wondering if you know if Amos has any other photos he still wants to get. Good questions, Doug. Thank you.
Yeah, just repeat the second question.
Yeah, so the second question was, let me read it so I get it right.
If Amos has
any other photos he still wants to get?
Oh,
so
yeah. Okay.
Did he reach
Yeah.
it?
So as long as I will say on his behalf, as long as Amos is alive, he will still have the next challenge and the next picture. Right now, I think everybody is locked at home and people don't travel. The same for Amos. And unfortunately, I will say that the only creature that we all want to take a picture of is the, you know, COVID-19 virus. We want to take a close-up of it and say goodbye, go away from our life. That's kind of like what we will say. Regarding the Inuits, they were amazing. They were an amazing family, and we actually wanted to also show the different generation and the transition that they are facing between the father and his son, which kind of reflects to the gap and the generation and the difference culture in the generation between Amos and his father. So that's kind of what we try to do. They were amazing. Unfortunately, as we mentioned in the film, two of them has died a year after filming because of ice melting car accident. I understand that it's pretty common, but it was really devastating to hear that that's what happened. And if you think about it, even that is related to the global warming.
Yeah, I think that was, I mean, I think you handled that well in the film, including that. Yeah, it was very sad to learn that. But I think that I loved the connection they all had and how they kept singing the song over and over again and changing it a little bit.
The birds over the mountain.
Yeah, it was really nice. So I wanted to ask you a question about the end of the film. Here he is. He wants to swim with a polar bear, and then you get this. There's 3 of them. What that was just like such a bonus, and it just seemed like it was, And when he came up and he had the camera, like the joy that you could just feel, you could feel it through the screen, what he was experiencing. So, what? Tell us a little bit about that.
I will just say that God's documentary was with us at that moment. Because was after days that we didn't see anything. And then we see something. And then they say it's a mother and 2 cubs. And the mother and 2 cubs were swimming peacefully. And that was, all of those elements were unbelievable. And we did not know how this thing will turn out. Because remember, Jonathan and I, we were on the boat. Amos and Adam are under the water. So we're with the Inuits, and we're all just hoping not to see blood, not to see anything scary that we don't want to see. We're not making a horror movie. And then when they come up, we see Amos' hands doing like this, yeah, and we felt like the Lakers won after 10 years.
Again.
Yes.
Yeah, congratulations on that, by the way. So anyway, Dani, I mean, what a wonderful film. I hope that people watch it, that the word spreads. We're happy that we could be part of getting this out to people. And anybody, we're gonna wrap up in a second here. So if anybody has any other anything else to share with Dani, if you want to wish him success with his film, anything, write it in the chat. And I just want to mention to people that we have 1 more day of our film festival, and that is tomorrow. And we have 1 more podcast, and that's tomorrow afternoon at 4:30. We will have the filmmakers from Invisible Hand here to talk about their film and about the rights of nature. So once again, Dani, I see people are putting comments over there if you want to take a look.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, all the folks from Princeton. I really appreciate it. I really admire you guys for doing this and trying to impact positively our environment. The last thing I will say to everyone, as you probably heard so many times, go and vote. Impact in your little world, make it change, and hopefully we will know better days.
I'm happy to tell you, been there, done that.
All right, good. We're doing it tomorrow.
Good. All right, Dani, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next time in person.
Absolutely. I'll come back. All right.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
You
All
too.
right. Take care, everybody. See you tomorrow.